Nowadays, it seems phone makers like Google and Samsung only want to talk about AI. And on one hand, I get it. Features like the Pixel's Audio Magic Eraser and Samsung's Edit Suggestions provide simple but powerful ways of improving photos and videos. But what if you just want a big, speedy handset with great cameras and outstanding battery life without any neural nets or machine learning trying to hold your hand at every turn? Well, that's almost exactly what we're getting here with the OnePlus 12. That's because in a lot of respects, this thing feels like a throwback to a time not that long ago when all people wanted was a reasonably priced phone with premium hardware and software that just gets out of the way. And thanks to improved water resistance and the return of wireless charging after skipping a couple generations, the 12 is also the most well-rounded phone OnePlus has made in years. Now, remember when I said the OnePlus 12 feels like a throwback? That carries over to its design as well. Between its size, its bezels, and its rounded glass edges, this thing looks and feels a lot like a Galaxy S10 Plus, at least from the front. It's actually kind of nostalgic for me and has me reliving those old debates about curved versus flat displays. So if you're a stickler for a phone with perfectly flat sides, you may want to stay away. Of course, this 6.8-inch OLED panel is quite modern despite appearances. It's bright, it's punchy, and between its dynamic 120Hz refresh rate, QHD Plus resolution, and a new display P1 chip inside, it just looks great. One little extra detail I appreciate is that OnePlus is using a new 2600Hz PWM technique, or pulse width modulation, to prevent flickering when the screen brightness is really low, like under around 70 nits. That means if you're using the phone in bed at night, you won't see that flickering that you might see on some rival handsets. You also get a lovely color matched metal frame and OnePlus's signature alert slider right here. Always good to see. However, when you flip over to its back, that's where the phone really shows off its more distinguishing design characteristics. It's available in black, but the emerald green model we have here is definitely the better looking version. Its glass has this really nice matte finish that offers a textured feeling without becoming too scratchy like the company's old sandstone backs. And in the right light, you might even notice some subtle sparkles dancing across that big camera module. Sadly, like most phones these days, you don't get expandable storage. But OnePlus did include an IR blaster, which is actually kind of unusual to see on a phone in 2024. So if you like using your handset to adjust settings on your TV or soundbar, this might give the OnePlus 12, a bit of an edge compared to something like the Galaxy S24 Plus. My one complaint is about that camera module, because when you have something this big and in your face, it really feels like it should be centered on the back of the phone. As is, OnePlus's current design does look a bit unbalanced. And while its IP65 rating for dust and water resistance isn't quite as good as what you get from Samsung or Google, it's more than enough to withstand a splash or a drizzle. That said, this is the highest IP rating yet on a OnePlus phone, so it's nice to see the company moving in the right direction. Inside, the OnePlus 12 features a Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 chip, similar to what you get on the Galaxy S24, with either 12 or 16 gigs of RAM and up to 512 gigs of storage. And despite slightly lower than expected benchmark scores, this thing feels just as fast as Samsung's latest flagship phone. Games launch quickly, flipping between apps is nearly instantaneous, and I've always appreciated how OnePlus tries to make little details like its home screen animations look as smooth as possible. And all of this results in a phone that feels incredibly fluid. Moving on to photography, the OnePlus 12 packs a triple lens setup with a 50 megapixel main camera, a 48 megapixel ultra-wide, and a 64 megapixel telephoto with a 3x optical zoom. This is similar to what you get on the S24 Plus, and I was pleasantly surprised by how close image quality was too, even when compared to the more expensive S24 Ultra. Photos are detailed, and I appreciate OnePlus's more neutral white balance. And even in low light, its photos compared pretty favorably to what I saw from the Samsung. Though if we're nitpicking, images from the 12 looked a touch softer and darker. I even had the chance to snap a pic of a squirrel using the 3x zoom that was tack sharp, despite the squirrel's attempt to bob and run away. Just watch out for the option to include a watermark that pops up the first time you open the camera app, because you probably don't want to share pics with a very distracting Hasselblad logo emblazoned across the entire photo. It's just a weird look. Now, when it comes to longevity, between its 5400 mAh battery, which by the way is 400 larger than what you get in the S24 Ultra, the OnePlus 12 offers truly superb battery life. In fact, with a time of 2640 on our local video rundown test, this is the longest lasting phone we've ever tested. But it gets better because the 12 charges extremely fast too, at up to 80 watts when using a wire or 50 watts wirelessly. To put this into context, I took an S24 Ultra, drained it to 10% battery, and then charged it using a compatible power adapter. After 10 minutes, it was only at 30%. Then I did the same thing with the OnePlus 12, which got nearly double the juice in the exact same amount of time, hitting 57% after just 10 minutes. And unlike the S24 Ultra, the OnePlus 12 comes with a charging brick, so you don't need to worry about paying extra for that. But the real eye-opening thing was when I performed the test again on the 12 using OnePlus's optional wireless charger. After 10 minutes, the phone went from 10 to 30% battery, which is more than the S24 Ultra got using a physical cable. Now, the obvious downside is that because OnePlus uses a proprietary protocol for charging, you only get those speeds when you use first-party accessories. So it's still possible to use your regular USB PD or wireless Qi chargers, they're just a bit slower. Following the release of the Pixel 8 and S24, the lack of AI features on the OnePlus 12 seemed like an inspired business decision. Or it would be if OnePlus didn't already have plans to introduce more machine learning-based tools post-launch. But even without those future updates, the OnePlus 12 is a refreshingly simple device that nails all the basics. It's got a solid build with a great screen, strong performance, and truly excellent battery life, along with handy little touches like an IR blaster and OnePlus's alert slider. And while I think the camera module is a bit gaudy, it's hard to complain that much about the photos it takes. But the best part is that the OnePlus 12 costs just $800, which is the same as the basic S24 and $200 less than the S24 Plus. And that's before you factor in the deal on OnePlus's website that will knock another $100 off with a trade-in of any phone, regardless of age or condition. That means you can get a phone with true flagship specs for just $700, which feels like another shout out to the handsets of yesteryear. So there you have it, a phone with a throwback design and a throwback price, but with very modern specs. And in my book, that's not just an interesting combo, it's a really good deal. But tell me what you think. Do you want all those AI features? Or are you happy to have something, a bit simpler? Let me know in the comments down below. And as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned to Engadget for more news, reviews, and hands-ons.